This is supposed to be the biggest story on mainstream media right now in America, but it is not. There's a reason why a Karen who stole a baseball is making more headlines in American mainstream media than a career criminal black lunatic who stabbed a defenseless white girl to death on the train on her way back from her workplace. Media outlets like the New York Times published 18 stories about the killing of Jordan Neely in the 2 weeks following his death, okay? CNN and MSNBC wouldn't stop ranting about the same story. But somehow, these media outlets are totally crickets on this harrowing incident. I bet you don't even know what is going on. You haven't even heard of this incident simply because the so-called media outlets who are supposed to keep you informed on these issues have chosen to plead oblivious on this inhumane incident. And we know why. At least I do. The victim versus the culprit in this situation does not agree with the Democrat communist media narrative. But reverse the races and it will be 48 hours of saturation reporting. Someone said, if the races were reversed within an hour of the killing, CNN and MSNBC would have convened panels with the killer's grade school teachers, neighbors, and dozens of racial justice experts. And that is absolutely true, guys. There is an absolute war on white people right now. And as someone who would never condone evil, I would never stop talking about it. Today, we're going to be looking at this gruesome killing of an innocent white girl, a Ukrainian refugee, who fled her war-torn country and came to the United States of America in search of security and protection from war, in search of a fresh start, okay? She survived a literal war in her country, only to be brutally murdered by a career criminal, a black lunatic who had no business living outside of prison. The mainstream media don't want you to hear about this, but guys, we're going to be talking about it today. Please watch.
Details in a deadly stabbing on a cat's rail line. Thanks for joining us for your news at 6. I'm Siobhan Bryant. It was 2 weeks ago today that this woman, Iryna Zarutska, a Ukrainian refugee, was killed while riding the light rail in South Charlotte. Since that time, there have been several questions about what happened, why it happened, and could it have been prevented. Today, CATS released surveillance video of the events leading up to and after her murder. And we want to warn you, some of these images could be considered disturbing to our viewers. We're not sharing images of the attack, but rather what led up to it. WBTV anchor Jamie Boll joins me live in studio with more on that video. Jamie?
Yeah, Siobhan, first, before we show you anything, we think it's important for everyone at home to understand the process we go through in cases like this. Awful things happen. Sometimes our photojournalists are there for the incidents. Other times we get video from police body cameras, or in this case, Charlotte Area Transit. We request video from agencies all the time. We do it to confirm what we have been told is backed up by the available video. It's about transparency. It's about confirmation. Now, when we get video like we did today, it doesn't just mean we put it on the air. In fact, often we don't show it, or it's heavily edited, especially when it's violent and graphic. We ask questions of ourselves. Does this video show us something important? Does it give us new or better insight into what happened? Is there news value in showing it? And then we factor in decency and privacy. Tonight, we've decided to air a portion of the video provided by CATS. We're doing that because it verifies what we've been told about this incident, and that is newsworthy given the public attention and the demands for safety improvements. We will not be showing the actual stabbing itself.
It's 9:46 p.m. You'll notice right away, this looks like any other ride aboard the light rail. People are doing what they do these days, keeping to themselves, scrolling on their phones as they ride along. The man accused in the killing, DeCarlos Brown, is in the red hoodies on the right side of your screen. He appears to be maybe a little emotional, perhaps a little agitated, but nothing disruptive. There's nothing that gets anyone's attention. About 30 seconds later, Iryna Zarutska boards. She's wearing a hat and a t-shirt from a pizzeria, and she sits in the row in front of Brown. She has earbuds in and is looking at her phone. She too is just minding her own business. They ride along for around 4 minutes with nothing unusual happening. Then around 9:50 p.m., Brown reaches into a pocket. We've zoomed in on it here. He pulls out a pocket knife. No one notices a thing. Seconds later, he would stand up, and from behind, unprovoked as we stop the video, he would stab the young woman several times. She had no chance to defend herself. The attack was over in seconds, and when it was over, Brown walked through the train attempting to get off. few passengers, if any, at first realized what had happened, until they noticed drops of blood on the floor. 90 seconds after the attack, a bystander rushes down to begin lending aid to Zarutska. She would die from her injuries. 30 seconds later, 9:52 p.m., 6 minutes into the video, Brown leaves the light rail.
The video here shows us just how quickly things happened and how difficult it would have been to prevent once he got on the train. And that is an important part to all of this. From what we've been told, Brown never should have been on the train. Authorities tell WBTV he did not buy a ticket. CAT says it is working on ways to keep fare skippers off mass transit.
Guys, this is insane. This is horrible. But this is what happens in a society that goes soft on crimes, especially crimes committed by a certain demographic. This killer, D. Carlos Jr., is not a regular black dude. This man is a confirmed dangerous criminal, okay? The system is aware of how dangerous he is because they have heard to arrest him 14 good times starting from 2011. This man has been arrested 14 good times. He reminds me of George Floyd, but he has been in and out of prison. Has an extremely violent history, guys. Yet, the justice system thought it was best to have him roaming around the street instead of cooling his heels in a jail cell. At one time, he was arrested for erratic and delusional behavior, claiming that a man-made substance was controlling him. This was a clear indication that this man was clearly mentally disturbed, okay? But instead of keeping him away from innocent people, innocent citizens on the street, the justice system ignored their duty and left a very clearly dangerous man, mentally unstable man on the streets. And now, an innocent woman is dead because of this. This is by no means an accident, guys. It is the system telling you that your life does not matter anymore, especially if your life does not carry a certain skin color. That is also why there is a media blackout on this particular story. Because if a white man stabbed a black female refugee to death on a train, it would be on every front page newspaper, guys. We know that. MSNBC, CNN, NPR will be buzzing with this news. But since the victim is white, there are no front page stories, no Black Lives Matter protests, no think pieces about violence against white people in America. Why? Because it doesn't fit the narrative. The media industrial complex runs on one formula. White people equals oppressor. Black people equals the victim. So when a story disrupts this formula, they go quiet. They don't want you to know that white people are being targeted in America. And if you disagree with me, I would like to ask you a question. As a white person in America, do you feel safe walking through the cities at night? Do you feel like the government or media actually cares about you when you die, when you are murdered as a white person? Do you? Because I have noticed that white Americans are now the only group you are allowed to attack without consequences. Racially, it is fine. Politically, it is encouraged. Physically, it is excused. As a white person, if you speak up, you are told to shut up, accept it, and even to check your privilege. If you defend yourself, they tell you you are racist. If you demand justice, then you are a white supremacist. What happened to this white girl is a result of a deep systemic rot in every major institution, starting from the courts that let a mentally unstable criminal walk free, to the police that is underfunded, underpowered, and even politically handcuffed, to the media that is complicit, biased, and cowardly, to the culture that promotes criminals as victims and then demonizes truthful law-abiding citizens as racist. What you are watching is the collapse of a system that no longer believes in right and wrong and only cares about skin color, okay? The skin color of the perpetrators. This is so disappointing. It is so disappointing that this innocent girl died just for nothing. She did not do anything wrong. She was a hard-working woman trying to live her life in a foreign country. But the system gave her no warnings. Instead of telling her the truth, that career criminals in America are allowed to walk free, that crime is rising and it is real, she was led to believe that she was safe. Please, guys, be very vigilant, okay? Be very cautious, especially when you are around the kind of demographic you know are likely to do you harm. It is not wrong to be cautious around people who look like the ones statistically responsible for most violent crimes. To me, that is not wrong. That is not racism also. That is just self-preservation. You can either be called a racist by the woke mob, or you end up like a statistic like Iryna. What would you rather be? Alive and hated, or dead and praised? As always, guys, these are my thoughts, these are my opinions. Please feel free to share yours in the comment section below, but do so respectfully. Also, if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, honestly, I don't know what you're waiting for. Subscribe to the channel. Like and share this video to keep people informed, and consider joining my membership or supporting the channel in any way that you can. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope to catch you on the next one. For now, peace.